In the heart of Abuja, what started as a simple act of kindness has now become a story of love, secrets, and survival. Adekunle, the man who never believed in love, is no longer the same. Zara, the woman he rescued from the rain, is no longer just a helpless stranger. Because the truth is finally catching up. Someone is watching them. Zara is hiding a past that could destroy everything, and Adekunle is about to face a battle he can't control. This time, it's not just about love. It's about protection. It's about trust. It's about how far a man can go for the woman he refuses to lose. In Part 2, expect explosive confrontations, dangerous secrets revealed, jealousy turning into war, and a love that will either survive or break completely. If you love emotional, dramatic billionaire romance stories like this, like, follow, and subscribe for more. Because this story is just getting started, and the next chapter will leave you speechless. Morning came softly over Abuja. Sunlight slipped through the tall glass windows of the guest house, warming the cream-colored walls and polished wooden floors. The storm had passed, but its presence still lingered, in the quiet calm, and in the lives that had changed overnight. Zara woke slowly. For a moment, she didn't move, didn't breathe, because she thought it was a dream. A soft bed, a clean room, silence without fear. Then her baby stirred beside her. Reality returned. Zara sat up quickly, checking her daughter. "I'm here," she whispered, pulling her close. The baby blinked, then smiled faintly. Zara froze. "You're smiling?" she whispered in disbelief. Her eyes filled with tears, not from pain this time, but relief. A gentle knock came at the door. Zara stiffened. "Come in," she said cautiously. A maid entered with a tray. "Good morning, madam." Zara blinked again. "Madam," it still didn't feel real. "Good morning," she replied slowly. "Breakfast is ready downstairs. Sir asked that you eat well." Zara nodded. "Thank you." Downstairs, everything looked even more beautiful in daylight. Minimalist Nigerian luxury design. Neutral tones, gold accents, soft cushions that looked too perfect to sit on. Zara walked carefully, carrying her baby like she might accidentally break something, or worse, be told she didn't belong. Then she saw him. Adekunle sat at the dining table, already dressed, already composed, already in control. Like the storm had never touched him. He didn't look up immediately. "Sit," he said. Zara obeyed quietly. She stared at the table. Different dishes arranged neatly. Eggs, toast, fruits, more food than she had seen in weeks. Her fingers hesitated. "Eat," he repeated. I'm not used to this much food," she admitted softly. Adekunle finally looked at her. "You'll get used to it." She shook her head slightly. "No, I don't think I should." He raised a brow. "And why is that?" Zara looked down. "Because it might disappear again." That answer lingered, heavy, real. Adekunle leaned back slightly. "It won't," he said simply. Zara looked up at him. Something in his tone sounded like a promise. The baby made a small sound. Adekunle glanced at her. "She's staring again." Zara smiled faintly. "She likes you." "That's concerning." "Why?" "I don't like children." The baby stretched her tiny hand toward him. Zara chuckled softly. "She disagrees." Adekunle hesitated. Then, awkwardly, he reached out. The baby grabbed his finger instantly. He froze. Zara watched him, amused. "You look like someone holding a bomb," she teased. "I feel like I am," he replied seriously. Zara laughed. A real laugh. Light, free. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. Later that day, Adekunle made another unexpected decision. "Get ready," he told Zara. She blinked. "For what?" "We're going out." Her eyes widened slightly. "Out? Where?" "Shopping." Zara almost refused. Almost. But then she looked at her baby and nodded. At the boutique, everything sparkled. Designer pieces. Shoes that cost more than a year's rent. Zara stood frozen at the entrance. "I can't go in there," she whispered. Adekunle didn't even slow down. "You already are." Inside, attendants rushed forward. "Welcome, sir." They paused when they saw Zara. Confusion flickered. then quickly replaced by trained smiles. "Pick what you like," Adekunle said. Zara shook her head immediately. "No. No. I don't need all this. You do." "I don't. You do." They stared at each other. Then Zara sighed. "You're stubborn. I've been told." Hours later, bags filled the car. Baby clothes, Zara's clothes, shoes, essentials, everything. Back at the house, Zara stood in front of the mirror, dressed in something simple but elegant. She barely recognized herself. "Is that really me?" she whispered. Behind her, Adekunle leaned casually against the door. "Yes." She turned. "Thank you." He shrugged slightly. "It's nothing." Zara shook her head. "No, it's everything." That night, something changed, subtly but deeply. Adekunle found himself doing something he hadn't done in years. He stayed, not in his main house, not in his penthouse, but in the guest house. In the living room, Zara sat with the baby, rocking her gently, humming softly. The melody filled the space, warm, alive. Adekunle watched from a distance, quiet, still. "You're staring again," Zara said without looking up. "I own the house," he replied. "I didn't say you didn't." He smirked slightly. The baby suddenly made a funny face, then sneezed loudly. Zara laughed. Adekunle blinked. She did it again. Zara laughed harder. "You've been officially disrespected. I won't forget this. You can't fight a baby. Watch me." For the first time in years, Adekunle laughed, not controlled, not forced, but real. And in that moment, something invisible shifted. Not love, not yet, but something close, something dangerous, something that had once destroyed him and was slowly finding its way back. Upstairs, Zara lay beside her baby later that night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, feeling, wondering. "This isn't normal," she whispered, but her heart replied quietly, "Maybe it doesn't have to be." Outside, the calm night wrapped around Abuja. But inside that house, a cold man was warming, a broken woman was healing, and a baby was unknowingly bringing them together. Days turned into weeks in Abuja, and something unusual began to happen. Adekunle changed. It started with small things, too small for anyone else to notice, but not small enough to be meaningless. He began to remember details about Zara. "What color do you like?" he asked one morning. Zara blinked, surprised. "Blue. Why?" The next day, a soft sky blue dress appeared in her room. "You don't like spicy food," he said casually at dinner. Zara frowned. "I didn't tell you that." "You didn't need to." He started noticing when she was tired, when she forced a smile, when she skipped meals just to make sure her baby had enough. And without realizing it, he was doing it again. The same way he once cared, the same way he once loved. Zara noticed too, but she didn't say anything because part of her was afraid of what it meant. A dangerous pattern. One evening, Zara stood in front of the mirror in her room, dressed beautifully, soft makeup, hair neatly styled. She looked like someone else, not the woman from the roadside, not the woman she used to be. Someone new. Adekunle stood behind her, watching, silent. "You're staring again," she said softly. "I'm thinking." "That's worse." He almost smiled. Then quietly, "You remind me of her." The words slipped out, heavy, unfiltered. Zara froze. The air changed instantly. She turned slowly. "I don't want to be her," she said gently. Adekunle's jaw tightened. "I know," but his eyes said something else. The club that started the fire. That same night, Adekunle returned to his exclusive club in Wuse 2 for the first time in weeks, and immediately they noticed. The women, his usual circle, elegant, confident, possessive. "Look who finally showed up," one of them said, flipping her hair. "Mr. Disappearing Billionaire," another teased. But something felt off. He wasn't the same. He didn't flirt, didn't entertain, didn't even look interested. One woman leaned close, her voice low. Where have you been, Kunle? He sipped his drink. Busy. With what? She pressed. He didn't answer. Another scoffed. I heard something, she said, loud enough for the others. That you picked up some roadside girl. Laughter followed. Sharp, mocking. Adekunle's hand paused mid-air. Slowly, he turned. Be careful what you say. But they weren't done. Not even close. Oh, please, one said, rolling her eyes. You always do this. You disappear, then come back with some project. Another added, but this time we heard she came with a baby. More laughter. Adekunle's expression darkened. Dangerously. So what is she? One of them asked boldly. A charity case? A replacement? Or just another phase? Silence fell, because now they had crossed the line. Adekunle stood slowly, calm, too calm. She is none of your business. The tone in his voice made a few of them shift uncomfortably. But jealousy is a dangerous thing. One of the boldest women stepped forward, arms crossed, eyes sharp. No, she said firmly, she is our business. Adekunle's eyes locked onto hers. Cold, deadly. You disappear for weeks, she continued, her voice rising. You stop answering calls. You cancel plans. A step closer. And now we hear you're playing house with some nobody from the street? That word again. Nobody. The club fell silent. Even the music felt distant. Adekunle's voice dropped, low, controlled. Say that again. She smirked, confident. Wrong move. I said, some nobody you picked from the... Before she could finish, Adekunle slammed his glass onto the table. The sound echoed, sharp, violent. Enough. The room froze. You will not speak about her like that, he said, each word heavy with warning. Another woman scoffed. Oh, so now she matters? Adekunle stepped closer, and for the first time, they saw it. Not annoyance, not irritation, but rage. Yes, he said quietly, she does. That answer hit harder than anything else, because it was real. The women exchanged looks, confusion, shock, jealousy. You've changed, one whispered. Adekunle didn't deny it. Instead, he picked up his jacket. I'm done here. And just like that, he walked out, leaving behind stunned faces and burning jealousy. Jealousy follows him home. Back at the guest house, Zara sat on the couch, feeding her baby. The soft glow of the lights made the room feel peaceful, safe. The door opened. Adekunle walked in, his expression still hard, still tense. Zara looked up. You're back early. He didn't answer immediately, just stared at her, at the baby, at the calm he didn't deserve. Did something happen? She asked gently. He walked closer, slowly. They talked about you. Zara's hand paused. What did they say? Adekunle's jaw tightened. Nothing that matters. Zara studied his face, then sighed softly. It matters if it affects you. He sat down opposite her, leaning forward slightly. It doesn't. A pause. But I didn't like it. Zara gave a small, understanding smile. People always talk. Adekunle shook his head. Not about you. That statement hung in the air. Heavy, protective, possessive. Zara felt it, and it scared her. Just a little. Why? She asked quietly. Adekunle looked at her, and for a moment the billionaire disappeared. Because I don't want to lose you too. Silence. Deep. Unavoidable. Zara's heart skipped, because now this was no longer just help, no longer just kindness. This was something else, something stronger, something dangerous. She looked down at her baby, then back at him. Kunle, she whispered, but she didn't finish, because neither of them were ready for the truth yet. Outside, the night wrapped around Abuja once again. But inside that house, jealousy had been born, possession had taken root, and love was no longer a distant possibility. The city felt different that morning in Abuja. Not because anything had changed outside, but because everything had shifted between them. Adekunle stood by the window, phone in hand, barely paying attention to the voice on the other end. Yes, move the meeting, he said flatly. I won't be available today. A pause. No, not reschedule, cancel it. He ended the call without waiting for a reply. Behind him, Zara stepped into the living room, carrying her baby. "You canceled work?" she asked, surprised. Adekunle picked up his keys. "Yes." "Why?" He looked at her. "Because I want to." Zara raised a brow slightly. "That doesn't sound like something you do." "It is now." She studied him for a moment, still trying to understand this version of him, still unsure if it would last. "Get ready," he added. Her heart skipped slightly. "For what?" He walked past her. "You'll see. The journey." An hour later, they were on the road. The baby sat comfortably in the nanny's arms this time, babbling softly. Zara sat beside Adekunle, glancing at him occasionally. "You're not going to tell me, are you?" "No." "You're enjoying this?" "Yes." She shook her head, trying not to smile. "You're actually annoying." "I've been called worse." The city slowly faded behind them. The roads stretched wider. The air felt lighter. And then Zara saw it. Water. Wide, endless, calm. Her breath caught. "A beach," she whispered. Adekunle parked the car. "Yes." Zara turned to him, surprised. "I didn't know Abuja had something like this." He shrugged slightly. "Private." The ocean and the silence. The sand was soft beneath their feet. The breeze carried a calm that felt almost unreal. The world slowed down. Zara walked ahead slowly, her eyes fixed on the water, like she had never seen anything like it before. Maybe she hadn't. Adekunle watched her. Not the ocean, not the sky, just her. "You like it?" he asked. Zara didn't turn. "It's peaceful." A pause. Too peaceful. He stepped beside her. "Is that a problem?" She nodded slightly. "Peace doesn't last." That answer stayed between them. The nanny stayed behind with the baby, giving them space. For the first time, they were alone. A moment that changed everything. Zara stepped closer to the water. The waves touched her feet lightly. She smiled. A real one. Adekunle noticed, and something in his chest tightened. "You smiled differently here," he said. Zara glanced at him. "How?" "Like you forgot everything." Her smile faded slightly. "I wish I could." Silence, but not empty. Full. Heavy. "What are you running from, Zara?" he asked quietly. She froze, her back still facing him. The wind picked up slightly, carrying her silence with it. "You don't have to tell me," he added, "but I know you are." Zara closed her eyes briefly, then turned, slowly. "You really want to know?" she asked. Adekunle stepped closer. "Yes." She hesitated, her fingers trembling slightly, her eyes searching his. "Everything I had," she began softly, "was taken from me." "Didn't move." "I wasn't always like this," she continued. "I had a home, a life, plans." Her voice cracked slightly. "And then someone decided I didn't deserve it." Adekunle's jaw tightened. "Who?" Zara shook her head. "Someone powerful." That word again. Power. The same world Adekunle belonged to. "What about the baby?" he asked gently. Zara looked toward the nanny in the distance. Her expression softened instantly. "She's the only thing they couldn't take." Adekunle stepped closer, close enough to feel her breath. "Did someone hurt you?" he asked quietly. Zara looked up at him, and for the first time, fear showed clearly. Yes, that single word hit harder than anything else. The pull between them. The wind slowed. The world seemed to pause. Adekunle lifted his hand slowly, hesitated, then gently, he touched her face. Zara didn't pull away. "You're safe now," he said, not as a promise, but as a decision. Her eyes searched his. "Are you sure about that?" He didn't answer immediately, because deep down, he wasn't sure. But instead, he said, "Yes." And in that moment, the distance between them disappeared. Zara's breath caught. Adekunle's gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. Something unspoken, unstoppable, dangerous. She whispered softly, "Kunle." But before anything could happen, the baby cried. They both froze, then pulled back slightly, reality rushing in. Zara laughed softly, a little embarrassed. She always knows when to interrupt. Adekunle exhaled. "I'm starting to believe that." unseen eyes. As they walked back toward the nanny, neither of them noticed the black SUV parked at a distance, engine off, windows tinted, watching. Inside, a man lowered his phone slowly. On the screen, a picture of Zara at the beach with a décolleté. His lips curled into a slow, dangerous smile. Found you. Ending scene. Back at the water, Zara held her baby tightly. A décolleté stood beside her, closer than before, more protective than ever. But far away, something had already begun. Something dark, something patient, and this time, it wasn't the past. The calm didn't last. It never does. Back in Abuja, the night air carried a strange tension, as if the city itself knew something dangerous had begun. Inside Adekunle's penthouse in Maitama, everything looked the same. Perfect, elegant, untouchable. But the peace was gone. Zara stood by the window, holding her baby close. Her eyes scanned the city lights below. But she wasn't seeing beauty. She was remembering. Flash. A different house. A different life. Voices shouting. A door slamming. Fear. She shut her eyes tightly. No, she whispered under her breath. The baby stirred slightly, sensing her tension. Zara immediately softened. I'm here, she whispered, kissing her forehead. But her hands were shaking. Behind her, Adekunle watched, quiet, observant, dangerously aware. You've been like this since we left the beach, he said. Zara didn't turn. I'm fine. No, you're not. Silence. Adekunle stepped closer. Zara? I said I'm fine, she snapped suddenly. The sharpness surprised even her. The room went still. Zara slowly turned, her eyes filled with conflict. I'm sorry. Adekunle didn't react immediately. He just looked at her, studying her, reading what she wasn't saying. Your past isn't done with you, is it? He asked quietly. Zara froze. That question hit too close. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Both of them turned. Adekunle frowned. At this hour? A maid rushed in nervously. Sir, there are visitors. His expression hardened instantly. Who? They didn't give names, but they said it's urgent. Zara's heart began to race. Fast, too fast. No, she whispered suddenly. Adekunle turned to her. What is it? Her eyes filled with fear. They found me. That was all he needed to hear. His entire demeanor changed. Take the baby, he said firmly to the maid. Go upstairs. Lock the door. Yes, sir. Zara hesitated. I'm not leaving. You are, he cut in sharply. She stared at him. But, Zara, his voice dropped, low, commanding, protective. Go. Something in his tone made her obey. As she disappeared upstairs, Adekunle turned toward the entrance, slowly, calmly. But inside, a storm was building. The door opens. The large doors swung open, and there they stood. 3 men, dressed in expensive suits, but nothing about them felt clean. The one in front smiled, cold, calculated. Well, Mr. Adekunle, he said smoothly. You've been hiding something valuable. Adekunle didn't move. You have 10 seconds to explain why you're in my house. The man chuckled. Straight to the point. I like that. His eyes scanned the room, then back to Adekunle. We're here for the woman. Silence. Adekunle's gaze hardened. There is no woman here for you. The man smirked. Oh, but there is. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and turned it. A picture. Zara, at the beach, with Adekunle. The air shifted instantly. You see, the man continued, she belongs to someone very important. Adekunle stepped forward slightly. Wrong choice of words. The man's smile widened. Very accurate choice. Zara stood behind the locked door, her back pressed against it, her breathing uneven. She could hear faint voices downstairs. Couldn't make out the words, but she didn't need to. She knew. They found me, she whispered again. The baby stirred in her arms. Zara held her tighter. I won't let them take you, she said firmly. I won't lose you too. Tears slipped down her face. but her eyes hardened. This time, she wouldn't run. Downstairs, tension exploded. "You have something that doesn't belong to you," the man said calmly. Adekunle's voice dropped, dangerously quiet. "She is not an object." The man tilted his head slightly. "To you, maybe." A pause. "But to my boss," his smile faded. "She's unfinished business." That did it. Adekunle stepped closer, close enough to make the guards shift uneasily. "You came into my house," he said slowly, "to threaten someone under my protection?" The man held his ground, barely. "We came to retrieve what's ours." Adekunle's eyes darkened. "You're not leaving with anything." Silence, heavy, explosive. Then the man chuckled softly. "We'll see about that." He turned toward the door. "But this isn't over." A final glance, sharp, promising danger. "Tell her," he paused, smirked. "Running only delays the inevitable." And then they left. Aftermath. The door closed. Silence filled the house again, but it wasn't peaceful anymore. Adekunle stood still for a moment, processing, calculating. Then he turned and headed upstairs. He opened the door. Zara looked up immediately, fear still in her eyes. "They were here, weren't they?" she whispered. Adekunle walked in slowly, stopped in front of her. "Yes." Zara's grip tightened on her baby. "They won't stop," she said. Adekunle looked at her, and for the first time there was no doubt in his voice. "Neither will I." Silence. Then Zara asked the question she had been avoiding. "Kunle, what if they're stronger than you?" He stepped closer. "Then they'll learn the hard way." His voice dropped, cold, unshaken, that they chose the wrong man. Closing scene. Outside, the night deepened over Abuja. But inside that house, war had begun. Not for money, not for power, but for a woman and a child. And this time, Adekunle wasn't just protecting them. Morning came slowly over Abuja, but peace didn't return with it. Zara sat quietly in the living room, her baby asleep in her arms. Adekunle stood by the window, phone in hand, already making calls, his voice low, controlled, dangerous. "Find out who sent them. Trace every connection. I want names." He ended the call, turned, and walked toward her. "It's time," he said. Zara looked up. She already knew what he meant. She took a deep breath, then began. "I wasn't always like this," she said softly. "I used to work for a powerful man." Adekunle's eyes narrowed. "Doing what?" "Personal assistant," she replied. "But I saw things I wasn't supposed to." Her voice trembled slightly. "Illegal deals, money laundering, dangerous connections." Adekunle's jaw tightened. "One night," she continued, "he tried to force himself on me." Her voice broke. "I fought him. I escaped." Silence. Heavy. Burning. "And the baby?" Adekunle asked gently. Zara looked down at her child. Tears filled her eyes. "She's not his," she said quickly. "She's from someone I loved, someone they killed when he tried to protect me." Adekunle's fists clenched. Rage built quietly beneath his calm exterior. "So you ran," he said. Zara nodded. "I lost everything. My home, my name, my life." A pause. "I became invisible, just to survive." Adekunle stepped closer. "And now they found you." Zara nodded again, fear flickering in her eyes. "They won't stop, Kunle." Adekunle looked at her, then at the baby, then back at her. "Good," he said quietly. Zara frowned slightly. "Good?" His eyes darkened. "Because neither will I." The days that followed were nothing like before. Adekunle didn't just protect, he hunted. Using his power, connections, and influence across Abuja, he uncovered everything. The man behind it all. A dangerous figure hiding behind wealth and political ties. But Adekunle was not afraid. One night, it all ended. In a quiet, heavily guarded compound outside the city, the truth was exposed, evidence leaked, authorities involved, allies turned enemies, and just like that, the empire that once chased Zara collapsed. When it was over, Adekunle stood outside, breathing slowly, not from fear, but from release. He had done it. Not for power, not for revenge, but for her. Weeks later, peace finally returned. Real peace. Zara laughed more. The baby grew stronger. The house felt alive. Adekunle changed completely. No more cold silence. No more distance. One evening, he stood in the living room, nervous, for the first time in his life. Zara walked in, holding the baby. "You called me?" Adekunle turned, his heart racing in a way he couldn't control. Then, he did something no one ever expected. He went down on one knee. Zara froze, her breath caught. "Kunle, what are you doing?" He looked up at her. No arrogance, no pride, just truth. "I've lost love once," he said softly, "and I swore never to feel it again." A pause. "But you," he smiled slightly, "you came into my life with rain and gave me a reason to feel again." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "I don't want to lose you," he continued. "Not now, not ever." He brought out a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. "Zara, will you marry me?" Silence. Then, Zara laughed through her tears. "Yes." The baby made a small happy sound, as if approving. Adekunle stood, pulling her into a tight embrace. For once, he held on, and didn't let go. Their wedding became one of the most talked about events in Abuja. Elegant, beautiful, emotional. The venue was breathtaking. Modern Nigerian luxury design blended with tradition. Soft gold decor, white roses, warm lights. Zara walked down the aisle, radiant, confident, no longer the woman from the roadside, but a queen in her own story. Adekunle stood at the altar, watching her, like she was everything, because she was. As she reached him, he whispered softly, "You're not running anymore." Zara smiled. "No, I'm home." Their vows were simple, but powerful. "I choose you," he said. "Always," she replied. And just like that, the man who never believed in love was married. In a city filled with power and pride, a broken man found healing, a lost woman found home, and a child brought two souls together. Love didn't come easy. It came with storms, with pain, with battles. But in the end, love stayed. Because sometimes, all it takes is one voice in the rain. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe for more emotional, dramatic, and unforgettable love stories.